Right, thank you very much. Sorry for the delay, everybody. A very useful taxi form we had prior to this meeting. But here we are on Wednesday, the 24th of May. It is now 8 minutes past 11. And I am Councillor John Andrews. And unfortunately, Emma Parker, our chairman, will not be present at the meeting. Consequently, at very short notice, I got Councillor Les Fry to come to the taxi forum because he only lives up the road. So I would ask, first of all, before we have anything else, that we elect the vice chair. Could I propose Councillor Les Fry? Have I got a seconder? Kathy Lugg, thank you. All those in favour? Thank you very much. Right, I'll move on to the agenda proper. Now, apologies for absence. Have we got any apologies for absence?
Yes, we have apologies from Councillors Derek Beer and Brian Heatley.
And I add the Councillor Emma Parker to that one. Right, I need to confirm the minutes of the last meeting, which, as you probably some of you can remember, was 6 minutes long. So there's not a lot to discuss. Do I ever propose? Have I any proposed by Councillor Cocking? Any seconder that the minutes are okay? Thank you, Councillor Morgan. All those in favour? Lovely, thank you. I'll now sign them. There we go. Thank you very much. Declarations of interest. Anybody got any declarations of interest in the agenda today? No, thank you. Public participation. Any public participation? Okay, so as we just demonstrated, just said, nobody is requested to speak, but we're just going to see if there's any public in the foyer. All right, thanks, John. No, there was nobody out in the foyer. We'll move on to item 5 on the agenda, which is Weymouth and Portland's zone taxi fares. And it's over to our licensing leader.
Thank you, Chair. I thought I'd move around just to confuse you. This is a report to request a modest increase to the Weymouth and Portland zone taxi fares. It's basically for an extra 20p on the first mile and 10p on each subsequent mile. This would take our 2-mile price, which is the one that the trade use as their benchmarking guide, to £7.60, which actually is similar to most of our neighbours, apart from BCP, who are currently running at £8.20. The association, which asked for this fare rise, believe that it is better to do more regular, smaller fare rises as they are better tolerated by the public. That said, having had a report in the Echo on this report, I have actually already had one public objection to this rise. The law is very specific in this area. We are setting the maximum charge. It is totally lawful for anyone to charge less than the metered rate. And it's for that reason that I haven't recommended or taken on board, or I have mentioned it, the calendar function that they also requested. I believe it would probably be unlawful for us to do that. We would have to do it by way of a condition. It can't form part of the actual tariff, which is what you're considering now. So what I'm asking you to do is to agree the new Weymouth and Portland Hackney Zone tariff as set out in Appendix 3, then to authorise us to go out to a proper public consultation, which we do by an advert in a local newspaper. We will then have to consider any comments that come back in, but the other proposal is that it will come into effect on the 1st of July if either we get no objections and those objections are withdrawn, or we have objections and they are considered and we make the decision to carry on, or you make the decision to carry on with the tariff. And that is it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Aileen. have we got any comments? I mean, I'm going to start off with the comment. I have to say that this small but modest rise in the fares, I think it's totally justified with what's going on at the moment. I think most people that go to a garage these days to have their car maintained will notice that the hourly rate is considerably increased, and parts, etc., are considerably increased, as well as the fuel they've had to suffer over the last 12 months or so. I know it's starting to come down now, but it's still reasonably high compared to what it was before the pandemic and before the war in Ukraine. So I think it's totally justified. So I'm happy to move the recommendation. There's no other comments.
John. I welcome what our licensing officer says as well. This is the maximum that can be charged, and they can charge lower should they choose to do so. So if they wanted to do any marketing initiatives or anything like that, they've got the opportunity to do that. But I would support what you've said, Chair, that yeah, prices have gone up, and I also welcome the small but frequent increases rather than the large jumps. I think that's more suited to the market needs.
Any other comments from members of the committee?
I'm happy to second the proposal that we adopt as recommendation.
Okay, so proposed and seconded. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you very much. Sorry, move on to item 6, appointment of licensing subcommittees and new delegation of officers by subcommittees. Now, you'll know this is a procedure we have to go through. We still have to delegate who's on what subcommittee at the moment, but that will need a constitution change at the next in the next council, which will probably be after May next year. So I know the officers are keen to get a report going on that, but I'll hand over to Aileen once again.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, this report is a technical report. It's about putting in the delegations that we need in order to function for the next year, and with the delegations to officers ongoing. So what I have suggested is the usual appointment to subcommittees. I think we've got 5 subcommittees that's contained within the report. But I also took the opportunity to look at a couple of things that had to come to full committee last year, which was the sexual entertainment venue application. And so I'm suggesting that that goes down to a subcommittee, similarly to how we deal with all other applications. That seems to be the correct place to put it. The other one is the delegation to officers for temporary event notices, where they come in. We've had an objection in from the police or environmental health. They say they want conditions from the licence put onto the temporary event notice. The applicant or the notice giver has said, yes, we're fine with that. So everything's all agreed. But at the moment, we still have to bring that to a subcommittee, basically for you to rubber stamp it on those occasions. So what we're suggesting is that you actually delegate that down to officers. I've checked with legal. They are happy with that. To delegate it down to the officers, and then we can decide that, and we don't have to bring you what is in effect a pointless committee. And the other delegation down to officer level is for the plate exemptions. So that will be done. The officers will come to you and say, what are your thoughts on it, to 3 members of the committee, usually the chair, the vice chair, and usually another councillor that's experienced, so we can keep some consistency. And we'd like that to be officially delegated down to officers, and then the officers are making the decision. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Aileen. Everybody understand? Any comments from anybody? No, I think that's quite plain. I mean, I know lots of us have been called in on subcommittees where it's just a rubber stamp, and what I see, what has been presented to us, it makes common sense. Like, you know, why bring me all the way from Dorchester and Andrew all the way from the other side of the county just to rubber stamp a 10-minute meeting. So I think that makes perfect sense. So would anybody like to propose that we accept the recommendation? Councillor Cockins proposed.
I'm happy to second.
I'll get Councillor Williams a second. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you very much. So now we move on to item 7, boat licence conditions. Now, how many of you knew that we had boat licences? Yeah, there we are. 1 or 2. Yeah, that's good. Right, so we move on to item 7. Aileen.
Thank you, Chair. We don't have a lot of boat licences, that is for sure. We only have them in very specific areas. So we have some in Purbeck, along the river there. We have one in Wimborne on the river there. And that's about it, I think, what we've actually got. So what we've been doing, or what we've started to do, is look at regularising their position. And one of the peculiarities with the boat licence conditions for Purbeck is that they only run from the 1st of April or Good Friday, or the Friday before Easter, whichever is the earlier, to the 1st of November. Now, that obviously is a historical thing. I can find no basis for that condition. We've checked through all the records and everything. There's nothing. So what we're asking you to do is just for this one particular licence, which is Wareham Boats Limited, which we've brought into the licensing regime this year, is that we give them the right to operate within line with their lease, because the council give them a lease for the land that they're operating on. And that runs, I think, from February to November. So it seems a bit bizarre that we're issuing with one hand a lease to say you can use this land for this purpose for February to November, but actually you can only actually hire the boats out on this historical basis from November. So I'm asking you very specifically for permission to change the conditions on that particular licence, and then actually to delegate down to this to officers any future amendments that are required for conditions, just while we sort out and merge the processes and get a policy into place for this, which will have a standard set of conditions, which will hopefully be next year. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Aileen. Any comments? No? All happy with the boats? So have I got a proposer? Oh, sorry, before we go in, our licensing manager wants to have a word.
Sorry, Chair, can I just raise a point about the officer delegations? In the previous, has that been covered already? Would you mind? Sorry.
Thank you for reminding me. Yes, the report states that the delegation should be down to the service manager for licensing and community safety. That should actually read down to the executive director, as it did for your other delegations. So thank you.
That was just a procedural point. Right, so we got a proposer. It's Councillor Williams. Seconder. Councillor Morgan. All those in favour? Unanimous, thank you. As it was boats, this is all going swimmingly, isn't it? Had to be done. Right, so it's item 8 now, urgent items. Any urgent items? No urgent items. Exempt business, any exempt business? All done properly. Thank you very much, everybody. I declare this meeting closed at 11:20.